What if I told you that the very things you try to suppress, the doubts that keep you up at night, the fears you push aside, the emotions you're ashamed of, aren't obstacles at all? What if instead of being burdens, they were actually clues? It sounds counterintuitive, doesn't it? We spend so much of our lives trying to silence our fears, bury our insecurities, and ignore the darker parts of ourselves. But what if everything you've been avoiding is actually the key to understanding who you are and what you're meant to do in this life? This idea comes from Carl Jung. His groundbreaking theory of the shadow self reveals that the parts of ourselves we suppress or deny don't just disappear. They remain hidden, influencing our behavior, emotions, and choices in ways we may not even realize. And here's the most shocking part. You will never be free until you face your shadow. This isn't just about theory or abstract ideas. This is about you, your life, your choices, and your ability to live with authenticity, confidence, and purpose. By the end of this video, you'll know how to work with it, integrate it, and use it as a tool for self-discovery and transformation. So if you've ever sensed that there's more to you than the version of yourself you show the world, stay with me, because we're about to uncover the truth about your hidden self. And here's the most powerful part. At the end of this journey, you'll come face to face with a final revelation that could change the way you see yourself forever. Let's begin. To understand the power of the shadow self, we must first look at the man who discovered it. Carl Jung, one of the most influential figures in modern psychology, was a Swiss psychiatrist and the founder of depth psychology. Unlike other psychologists of his time, Jung wasn't just interested in human behavior. He wanted to understand the deepest layers of the unconscious mind. He believed that who we think we are is only a small fraction of our true self. Beneath our conscious awareness lies a vast hidden world of suppressed thoughts, emotions, and desires, what he called the shadow self. Jung's work wasn't just academic, it was deeply personal. He himself faced a period of extreme psychological turmoil, a time when he confronted his own shadow and underwent what he described as a profound transformation. He realized that true self-discovery doesn't come from ignoring or avoiding the darker parts of ourselves. It comes from understanding and integrating them. Now, what is the shadow? The shadow self is the collection of everything we reject, suppress, or disown about ourselves. From childhood, we are taught which traits are acceptable and which are unacceptable. If we express anger, we might be told to calm down. If we show vulnerability, we might be told to toughen up. Over time, these parts of us, the ones we learn are wrong or undesirable, get pushed into the unconscious mind, forming what Jung called the shadow. But here's where things get interesting. The shadow isn't just a collection of negative traits, it also contains hidden strengths, unrealized talents, and deep reservoirs of potential that we've ignored or suppressed. For example, if you were taught to always be nice and avoid conflict, you may have suppressed your ability to set boundaries. If you were raised to believe that being creative was impractical, you might have buried a deep artistic talent. If you were made to feel guilty for being ambitious, you may have hidden your natural leadership skills. This is the paradox of the shadow. It contains the very parts of us that could make us stronger, more confident, and more whole. So if the shadow contains so much potential, why do we push it away? The answer lies in social conditioning and fear of judgment. From a young age, we learn which behaviors are rewarded and which are punished. To fit in, we adapt. We create a persona, a social mask that presents the most acceptable version of ourselves. But here's the problem. The more we suppress our shadow, the more control it has over us. It doesn't disappear, it simply hides beneath the surface, influencing our thoughts, behaviors, and emotions in ways we don't realize. Jung explained this phenomenon through his theory of projection. He observed that we often see in others the very traits we refuse to acknowledge in ourselves. For example, if someone's arrogance annoys you, it may be because you have suppressed your own confidence. If you feel irritated by someone's laziness, it may be because you deny your own need for rest. If you are jealous of someone's success, it might be because you've suppressed your own desire to achieve greatness. As Jung famously said, everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. This means that the people who trigger us the most are actually mirrors, reflecting our hidden selves back to us. Now why this matters. The shadow self isn't something to fear, it's something to explore and integrate. By doing so, we gain clarity, authenticity, and inner strength. Jung believed that true personal growth isn't about becoming perfect, it's about becoming whole. And the first step, recognizing that your shadow isn't your enemy, it's your guide. In the next section, we'll dive into how you can identify your shadow, recognize its influence in your life, and begin the process of integration, unlocking the power hidden within. Stay with me because this is where the real transformation begins. We often think of self-improvement as adding something, more confidence, more discipline, more success. But what if true growth isn't about adding, but about uncovering what's already within you? Carl Jung's theory of the shadow self reveals that the parts of ourselves we reject and suppress don't disappear. Instead, they live in the unconscious mind, influencing our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors in ways we often don't recognize. And here's the most powerful insight. The shadow is not your enemy, it's your teacher. The fears, insecurities, and hidden desires you've spent years running from. They aren't here to break you. They're here to guide you toward who you're truly meant to be. The more we suppress our shadow, the more power it gains over us. It manifests in ways that limit our growth, hold us back, and create repeating life patterns. Think about your life for a moment. Do you find yourself stuck in the same struggles no matter how hard you try to change? Do certain fears or insecurities keep resurfacing no matter how much you try to push them away? Do you keep encountering the same kinds of challenges in relationships, work, or personal development? These patterns are not coincidences. They are signs that your shadow is calling for your attention. For example, if you struggle with self-doubt, your shadow may hold the key to reclaiming your confidence. If you fear failure, your shadow may contain untapped ambition and courage. If you feel disconnected, your shadow may be urging you to embrace authenticity and vulnerability. Every suppressed part of you is waiting to be integrated, because only when we face our hidden selves can we truly grow. Most people try to run from their shadow. They distract themselves with work, social media, relationships, or external achievements. But Jung's work teaches us that the only way to transform your shadow is to confront it. Think about this. What if your fears weren't holding you back, but were pointing you in the right direction? What if your insecurities weren't weaknesses, but unexplored potential? What if everything you've been avoiding is actually the doorway to your greatest personal transformation? This is the paradox of shadow work. The traits you suppress often hold the key to your true purpose. For example, a person who was told as a child to stop being so sensitive may suppress their emotions. Yet this very sensitivity may be the gift that allows them to become a powerful healer, artist, or teacher. Someone who has always suppressed their anger may find that this energy, when harnessed correctly, fuels their drive to create change, whether in business, activism, or leadership. A person who struggles with jealousy may discover that their envy is actually a sign that they have a deep, untapped desire to pursue their own passions. Jung called this process individuation, the journey of integrating the shadow and becoming your most whole, authentic self. And here's the key: you don't grow by rejecting your shadow, you grow by understanding it. If you look at every myth, legend, and hero's journey, you'll see that shadow work is at the core of every transformation. Take some of the greatest stories ever told. Hercules had to face his own inner rage, not just external monsters. Luke Skywalker in Star Wars had to confront the darkness within himself before he could become a true Jedi. Batman channels his childhood trauma and fear into his greatest strength. Why do these stories resonate with us? Because they mirror the psychological journey we all must take. The question is, are you willing to take that first step? Are you willing to look at the parts of yourself you've been running from and ask, what are you trying to teach me? Because once you do, something extraordinary happens. You stop feeling powerless and start feeling in control of your destiny. Your shadow doesn't just affect your inner world, it shapes your relationships, career, and emotions in ways you may not realize. Here's how it shows up. Number 1. Emotional triggers. Have you ever had an over-the-top emotional reaction to something small? Maybe someone's arrogance made you irrationally angry. Maybe someone's confidence made you feel small and insecure. Maybe seeing someone take risks made you feel jealous or bitter. These reactions are not random, they are clues. They reveal parts of yourself that you've rejected but still exist in your unconscious. Jungian insight: everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. The next time someone triggers you, ask yourself, what does this reaction say about me? It may be your shadow trying to get your attention. Number 2, projection. One of Jung's most profound discoveries was projection. The idea that the things we refuse to see in ourselves are the very things we criticize in others. For example, if someone's selfishness irritates you, is it possible that you deny your own needs too often? If you feel resentful of someone's success, could it be because you've been suppressing your own ambitions? If you dislike someone's arrogance, could it be that you have a suppressed desire to be more confident? Projection is like a mirror. It reflects back the hidden aspects of our own personality. Once we recognize this, we can reclaim our power and begin to integrate those hidden traits. Why this matters? The shadow isn't here to hurt you, it's here to guide you. It's the part of you that says, you are more than what you allow yourself to be. Your greatest potential lies within the parts of yourself that you haven't yet embraced. And when you begin to explore and integrate your shadow, you'll find more confidence because you're no longer at war with yourself, deeper relationships because you understand others and yourself on a profound level, greater purpose because your true path lies in embracing all of who you are. The shadow is only a problem when left unchecked, but once you bring it into awareness, it transforms from something that controls you into something that empowers you. In the next section, we'll dive into how you can actively work with your shadow, integrate it into your conscious self, and use it as a tool for personal mastery. This is where real transformation happens. So stay with me, because what's coming next will reveal the exact steps you need to take to embrace your shadow and unlock your true potential. Now that we understand what the shadow is and how it influences our emotions, relationships, and behaviors, the next question is, how do we work with it? How do we integrate our shadow instead of letting it control us? Carl Jung believed that true transformation happens when we make the unconscious conscious, when we bring awareness to the parts of ourselves that we have ignored, denied, or suppressed. This process is called shadow work, and it is one of the most powerful tools for personal growth, self-discovery, and emotional freedom. Let's dive into practical ways to identify, confront, and integrate your shadow. Step number 1, recognizing your shadow in everyday life. The first step in shadow work is awareness. Your shadow doesn't hide from you. It appears in your everyday experiences, but in ways that are often subtle or disguised. Here's how you can begin identifying it. 1. Pay attention to emotional triggers. Strong emotional reactions, especially anger, envy, resentment, or guilt, are often clues that your shadow is being activated. Ask yourself, what situations or people trigger intense emotions in me? What traits do I strongly dislike in others? What am I afraid others might see in me? For example, if you feel irritated by people who show off, ask yourself, do I suppress my own desire to be seen and recognized? If you judge others for being lazy, ask, do I struggle to give myself rest without guilt? If you feel jealous of someone's success, ask, is this revealing an ambition I've been denying in myself? The things that trigger you often hold the greatest lessons about yourself. Jungian insight. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. 2. Identify repeating patterns in your life. The shadow has a way of recreating the same challenges over and over until you face it. Look for patterns in your relationships, work life, or personal struggles. Do you always find yourself attracting the same kind of toxic relationships? Do you self-sabotage success right when things start going well? Do you feel like you're stuck in the same emotional loops, repeating past mistakes? These patterns are not coincidences. They are your shadow trying to teach you a lesson. If you don't face these hidden parts of yourself, they will continue manifesting as external struggles. 3. Listen to your self-talk and fears. The way you talk to yourself is a direct reflection of your shadow. Pay attention to the inner voice that says, "I'm not good enough. I don't deserve success. People wouldn't like the real me." Where did these beliefs come from? Whose voice are you repeating? Are these your truths, or were they conditioned into you by others? Your self-limiting beliefs are shadows that need to be examined and rewritten. Step number 2, confronting and accepting your shadow. Once you identify your shadow, the next step is facing it without judgment. This is where most people struggle because it's uncomfortable to look at our darkness. But here's the truth. Your jealousy is not bad. It may be a signal that you're not living in alignment with your desires. Your anger is not bad. It may be a sign that your boundaries have been violated. Your fear is not bad. It may be an indicator that you are about to step into something greater. Your shadow is not here to harm you, it's here to teach you. How to work with your shadow journaling exercise. Write a letter to your shadow. Ask, what are you trying to teach me? What part of me have I ignored for too long? How can I integrate you into my life in a healthy way? Dialoguing with your shadow. Jung encouraged active imagination, a technique where you talk to your shadow as if it were a separate entity. Try this. Close your eyes, take a few deep breaths. Imagine your shadow sitting in front of you. Ask it, "Oh, what do you need from me? Oh, how have I misunderstood you? Oh, how can we work together?" At first, this may feel strange, but your shadow will start revealing insights that your conscious mind has ignored. Reframing your perception. Instead of seeing your shadow as a weakness, try seeing it as a hidden strength. Ask yourself, how can I use my shadow to my advantage? What power have I suppressed that I can now reclaim? What would happen if I embraced this part of myself instead of fearing it? This is not about acting on every impulse. It's about recognizing and transforming the energy that has been suppressed. Step number 3, integrating your shadow into daily life. Once you begin to accept your shadow, the final step is integration, bringing it into your conscious awareness and using it as a tool for self-growth. This means practicing self-awareness, noticing when your shadow appears and choosing a conscious response. Embracing vulnerability, allowing yourself to be seen for who you truly are without hiding parts of yourself. Using your shadow for strength, redirecting suppressed emotions into creativity, leadership, and self-expression. The shift that happens when you integrate your shadow. When you stop fighting your shadow and start listening to it, you'll notice you feel less triggered by others because you're not projecting hidden aspects of yourself onto them. You feel more confident and authentic because you are no longer suppressing who you really are. You experience more emotional freedom because you no longer live in fear of your own thoughts. Your shadow, once feared, becomes your greatest teacher. And here's the most important part. When you heal and integrate your shadow, you step into your true power. This is what Jung meant by individuation, becoming a fully realized whole person. Now that you understand how to work with your shadow, there's one final insight that will bring everything together. Jung believed that shadow work doesn't just transform the individual, it transforms the world. Because when you heal yourself, you improve your relationships, because you no longer project your wounds onto others. You unlock your life's purpose because your true calling lies in what you've suppressed. You contribute to collective consciousness because your growth inspires others to do the same. But what happens when we fully integrate the shadow? What is beyond this personal transformation? The next section will reveal the most powerful insight yet, the one that could change the way you see yourself forever. Stay with me because this final truth might just change your life. Up until now, we've explored what the shadow is, how it shapes your emotions and behaviors, and how you can begin integrating it. But now comes the ultimate question. What happens when you fully embrace your shadow? What if everything you've been running from, the fears, insecurities, suppressed desires, was actually the key to your true self, your purpose, and your highest potential? Carl Jung believed that the final stage of self-discovery is what he called individuation, the process of becoming whole by integrating the conscious and unconscious parts of yourself. This means stepping into your full power, no longer living under the control of fears, conditioning, or hidden wounds. It's at this stage that something extraordinary happens. You stop seeking validation because you fully accept yourself. You stop being controlled by emotional triggers because you recognize them for what they are. You stop repeating old patterns because you've integrated the lessons they were trying to teach you. And most importantly, you step into your true purpose with clarity, confidence, and authenticity. This is the greatest reward of shadow work, liberation. You no longer live in reaction to the world. You create your life with intention. Why shadow work is the missing key to your life, purpose. Many people spend their lives searching for their purpose as if it's something external, something to be found. But what if your purpose isn't something you find? What if it's something you uncover by reclaiming the lost parts of yourself? Jung's work suggests that your shadow holds the key to your purpose because your suppressed traits often point toward your deepest passions, talents, and callings. Think about it. If you've always struggled with speaking up, maybe your purpose involves using your voice to create change. If you've always felt drawn to art, music, or storytelling, maybe your purpose is creative expression. If you've battled feelings of self-doubt, maybe your purpose is to help others find their confidence. Your deepest wounds and struggles are often connected to your greatest strengths and gifts. Jungian insight. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. The moment you integrate your shadow, you gain the ability to live with authenticity and alignment, where your inner self and outer life are in harmony. This is the ultimate form of freedom. But here's the final, most powerful truth. Shadow work doesn't just transform you, it transforms the world. We live in a society where people are constantly projecting their shadows onto others. Judgment, division, and hate are often the result of people refusing to face their own fears and wounds. Wars, conflicts, and social injustice arise because we suppress, avoid, and externalize our inner struggles. Jung believed that as individuals integrate their shadow, society itself evolves. Imagine a world where more people take responsibility for their own emotions instead of blaming others, heal their inner wounds instead of projecting them onto relationships, communities, or nations, embrace their authentic selves instead of living in fear of judgment. This is the power of shadow work on a collective level. When you integrate your shadow, you inspire others to do the same. This is why Jung believed that shadow work is not just personal, it is spiritual, psychological, and even revolutionary. When we heal ourselves, we help heal the world. Now that you've journeyed through the depths of shadow work, the question is, what will you do with this knowledge? You can begin paying attention to your triggers. Every emotional reaction is an opportunity to learn more about yourself. Explore your suppressed desires and passions. What have you been afraid to embrace? Practice self-awareness and self-acceptance. True growth comes from integration, not rejection. And most importantly, remember this. Your shadow isn't something to fear. It's a part of you that's waiting to be reclaimed. The moment you stop running from it, you become whole, you step into your power, and from that place, you don't just live, you thrive. But what happens after you integrate your shadow? What's beyond self-discovery and healing? The answer lies in the next level of transformation, how to unlock your highest potential and align fully with your soul's mission. Click here to watch my next video on stepping into your highest self. Subscribe for more insights into psychology, philosophy, and personal transformation, because your journey doesn't end here, it's just beginning. Are you ready to step into your true self?